And so here's the 14th Amendment. This is from the link on Blackboard. This is on the Legal Information Institute at Cornell University Law School. And just as we mentioned when we talked about the 6 clauses or 6 freedoms of the First Amendment, we see the same issues here where we have to look at the construction, how it's constructed, and parse out what's going on. And so, first of all, the 14th Amendment is a direct response to the court's decision in Dred Scott v. Sanford. And so the court said African Americans aren't citizens and can never be citizens, right? And so here's a perfect example of how we, the people, actually get the last word. Remember, we talked in last week about judicial review, where the court elevated itself above the other branches of government and said only we can interpret the Constitution. So a lot of people make the mistake of thinking only the Supreme Court gets to interpret the Constitution. But that's not true, because every time we amend the Constitution, it's about we, the people, interpreting the Constitution. So when we feel the Supreme Court has made a mistake, like in Dred Scott, we can talk back to the court by amending the Constitution. And so that's exactly what they do here in the very first sentence. It's like us talking to the court saying, look, Supreme Court, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. So this is really a powerful mechanism for the people to have some control over our constitutional system. We've amended the Constitution 27 times. We've done it 4 times in my lifetime. So it can be done. Now, we get to the next section. And so I'll point out, look again for the structure as with the First Amendment. Notice the semicolons. That's the tip-off. And so it tells us we've got 3 elements. No state shall. Now, those are very powerful words in law, because it's saying no state, no exceptions, and nobody shall do any of these things that we're about to spell out, with no exceptions. And notice it's talking directly to the state. And if we picture our 3 ellipses with federal government, state government, and individual, and we said we wanted a weak federal government and a strong state government, now we have the federal government telling the states, you did a crappy job protecting individuals, so we are going to insert ourselves into this equation and we're going to take charge. So you cannot have a law that abridges the privileges or immunities, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Okay? So take it down that way. In the same way we had 6 clauses or 6 freedoms in the First Amendment, here we have 3 clauses or 3 freedoms of the 14th Amendment. The privileges or immunities clause, the equal protection clause, and the due process clause. And one thing that we're going to see that's really important, we saw on our Civil War time and Reconstruction timeline that these 3 clauses, one of them was basically shut down by the Supreme Court in slaughterhouse cases. So to this day, you can only bring a suit under the 14th Amendment under either the equal protection or the due process clause. And the due process clause is the most important because of this word, which I'll talk about in a minute.